You've ever lived that moment when you realize you're drowning and can't stop it? Bills pile up. You take out loans to cover loans. Your wife stops asking how your day was. She already knows. Your son asks if you're going on vacation this year. You make up an excuse. You wake up at 3 a.m. with your chest tight, calculating numbers that never add up. And then comes that thought, what if I just disappear? What if I leave and start over somewhere else? What if I end this once and for all? And it's at that point, the exact moment before you make the worst decision of your life, that everything is decided, because the enemy isn't the debt, not the market, not the lack of opportunity. The enemy is you acting from desperation. My name is Miyamoto Musashi, a ronin who survived a violent Japan where most warriors died before 30. I learned that death doesn't come from the enemy's blade. It comes from your own uncontrolled mind. What saved my life dozens of times is the same thing that can save yours now. Control under extreme pressure. Here are the practices I used when making a mistake meant not seeing the next sunrise, applicable now to any dispute, negotiation, or moment of pressure you face. If you stay until the end, you'll understand the principle that decides when to act and when to wait, the axis that sustains everything I'm about to show you. I begin with the day I almost killed myself because I couldn't handle the pressure. I was born in 1584 in the Harima region, at a time when Japan was still tearing itself apart in factions. At 13, I won my first duel against Arima Kihei, a swordsman from the Shinto Ryu school. He provoked me in front of witnesses, expecting me to attack on impulse to defend my honor. I didn't attack. I waited for him to position himself, observed how he distributed his weight, noticed he expected a quick frontal movement. When I finally moved, it was to the side he had left unprotected because he believed I would react to the insult with rage. He fell. The first practice I learned was this: when someone provokes you, don't respond to the provocation. Respond to the real situation. Provocation is bait to make you act without thinking. At work, when someone questions your competence in a meeting, the temptation is to defend yourself immediately, prove your worth, show indignation. But the person who provoked you wants exactly that, to see you uncontrolled, emotional, losing credibility. Instead, pause. Identify what the person is really trying to accomplish. Deflect attention from their own mistake. Gain control of the conversation. Impress a superior. Then respond to that real objective, not to the insult. Ask something specific, request data, return focus to the concrete problem. Whoever responds to the bait loses. Whoever responds to the game maintains control. At 21 in Kyoto, I faced Yoshioka Seijuro, head of an established school, at a temple north of the city. He scheduled the meeting for early morning. I arrived in the middle of the afternoon, not out of arrogance, but because I realized in the days before the duel that he used to prepare hidden advantages for those who arrived on time. Favorable positioning, instructed witnesses, even small traps in the terrain. When I arrived late, the crowd was impatient and Seijuro visibly irritated. The irritation shortened his movements, rushed his decisions. I won in a few strikes. Second practice: control when things happen, not just how you react when they happen. In your context, this means not automatically accepting the deadline they impose on you, the time of the difficult meeting, the moment when someone wants to talk real quick. If you feel you're entering a situation at a disadvantage, tired, without enough information, emotionally shaken, don't enter at that moment. Redefine. I'd prefer to discuss this tomorrow morning when I have the numbers in front of me. I'll respond in writing to ensure clarity. I need a day to review before deciding. Whoever accepts the rhythm imposed by the other has already started losing. Whoever defines the rhythm maintains calm because they chose the terrain. In the second duel of the Yoshioka series, I faced Denshichiro, Seijuro's brother, who appeared with a long spear. His weapon had twice the reach of my sword. The temptation was to try to close the distance quickly, enter his space. I did the opposite. I maintained even greater distance. I retreated. Each step he took forward was a commitment. He needed to advance to use the spear. Each of my steps backward was reversible. I could change direction at any moment. When he finally committed to an attack, the trajectory was already clear. I dodged laterally, closed the distance from the side, and the long spear became a disadvantage. He couldn't turn it in time in the closed space. Third practice: identify what the other person needs to function well, then remove or make it difficult. At work, if someone uses volume to dominate meetings, request written documentation. If someone pressures you through quick messages where you don't have time to think, switch to formal email. If someone uses an audience to embarrass you, propose an individual conversation. Every advantage carries a hidden requirement. The aggressive person needs an emotional reaction to justify the aggression. The confused interlocutor needs you to also be confused to hide their own lack of clarity. The boss who changes their mind all the time needs you to accept each change without questioning the pattern. When you identify what sustains the other's advantage, you can remove the support. And you do this while maintaining calm because you're not reacting, you're adjusting the system. The third duel was a trap. Yoshioka Matashichiro, a child, appeared surrounded by dozens of armed men. The duel was a planned execution. I was supposed to arrive at the agreed time at dawn by the main path. I didn't arrive then. I arrived 2 hours early by a secondary path through the woods and waited hidden, observing how they positioned themselves. When I identified the real leader, Matashichiro was just the excuse, I advanced directly, eliminated the central threat, and retreated before the siege formed. Fourth practice: the right moment is rarely the moment everyone expects. If you feel something was set up to catch you by surprise, a last-minute meeting, a trick question in public, an impossible deadline announced on Friday afternoon, don't enter the expected rhythm. Anticipate or postpone. Respond before they pressure you or after the artificial pressure passes. A direct example: if you know they're going to demand something from you in a Friday meeting, send a report on Thursday explaining the situation. If they try to force you into an immediate decision, say, "I'll decide this on Monday," and hang up. Calm isn't accepting the game. It's refusing to play on the board set up by the other. Years later, in Edo, I faced Muso Gonosuke, a recognized master of the long staff. During our encounter, I realized he expected me to use 2 swords simultaneously, my known technique. I used one. He adjusted his guard. Only then did I draw the second, but not to attack, to block the opening he created by adjusting. The combat ended in a draw. Neither of us gained a definitive advantage. I left there respecting Gonosuke, and he later founded his own school. Fifth practice: not losing is already winning when the cost of winning is too high. The ego wants spectacular victory. Strategy wants sustainable results. In a heated argument with someone important to you, partner, business associate, family member, sometimes the best result isn't proving you're right, but preserving the relationship without giving up the essential. I understand your point, but I'll maintain my decision in this case can be more valuable than "you're wrong, and I'll prove it." Calm is knowing when a draw serves you better than victory, and knowing this while the other is still trying to make you fight. The most discussed duel of my life happened in 1612 on the island of Ganryu-jima against Sasaki Kojiro. He was technically superior, famous, used a sword longer than mine. I arrived hours late, rowing in a canoe with a wooden oar as a weapon. The weight on the beach corroded Kojiro's patience. When the duel began, he attacked with all the speed his reputation promised, but he attacked tense. I dodged by millimeters and responded with a single accurate strike. Sixth practice. The real confrontation begins long before the visible moment. I didn't defeat Kojiro at the instant of the strike. I won during the hours he spent waiting, imagining delays, building anger. In your situations, this means the difficult conversation with your boss doesn't begin when you enter the room. It begins in the days before, when you organize your arguments, rehearse probable objections, decide your non-negotiable point. The negotiation doesn't begin at the table. It begins when you research the other party's situation, understand what they really need, prepare alternatives. Whoever arrives calm at the critical moment isn't because they have cold blood. It's because they already did the emotional and intellectual work beforehand. Prepare when there's still time, and the moment of pressure becomes mere execution. After Ganryu-jima, I refused to directly serve any lord, but accepted Hosokawa Tadatoshi's invitation to live in Kumamoto and teach. There, far from duels, I began to paint, sculpt, write. That's when I understood the principle that ties all these practices together. See the whole, not just the part that screams loudest. Seventh practice, the most important. Increase the interval between feeling and reacting. For years, I sat in silence observing my own breathing until my body stopped demanding attention. Then I observed external sounds without naming them, without reacting. The objective was simple: create space between perceiving something and responding to it. This space, in duels, was the difference between dodging and being hit. In common life, it's the difference between responding to an aggressive email immediately and responding 3 hours later with clarity. It's the difference between arguing with someone who cut you off in traffic and simply moving on. It's the difference between accepting the first offer in a negotiation and saying, "I'll think about it and get back to you tomorrow." Calm isn't born in the moment of pressure. It's born in the daily training of pausing when nothing is at risk, so that pausing becomes a reflex when everything is. Practice small pauses every day. 3 breaths before responding, 10 seconds before getting out of bed, 1 minute before entering the meeting. Train the interval now, use the interval later. In 1643, already with weak health, I withdrew to the Reigando cave and wrote the Go-Rin no Sho. Each element of the book, earth, water, fire, wind, void, is a way to adjust your perception as context changes. Earth is foundation, preparation, practice, technical knowledge. Water is adaptation, changing form without losing substance. Fire is timing, acting at the exact moment with full force. Wind is reading the other, understanding the style of whoever is in front of you. Void is the state where the right response emerges without conscious effort because you've already trained enough. I finished the book in May 1645, days before dying, at 61 years old. The principle that ties everything together. Calm is clarity about what matters now. It doesn't matter what they told you, it matters what you need to do. It doesn't matter how you feel, it matters which decision leads you to the result you want. The 7 practices I showed build this clarity. Ignore the bait, control the timing, remove the other's advantage, choose the unexpected moment, accept the draw when it serves you, prepare before the pressure, train the interval daily. Use them. Calm is seeing more than the other, not feeling less.